Hi, I'm Kirk Evans, president of U.S. LawShield. We're here today to talk about the 7 new gun laws signed by Governor Murphy in New Jersey in July of 2022. The first of those laws is a training requirement for purchases of firearms. Now, there's 2 parts to that. If you currently have a permit and lawfully own a firearm, you are not required to undergo this training requirement. But new purchasers of firearms are going to be required to go through training. We don't know the details yet. That's to be approved by the superintendent of police. But the statute says that training is supposed to require training on safe storage and handling of firearms. The second law is a ban on 50 caliber rifles. So any centerfire rifle capable of firing a 50 caliber BMG cartridge is going to be banned under the new law. There are detailed specs in what constitutes and what does not constitute a 50 caliber BMG, and that's in the statute if you have any question. If you currently own one of these firearms, you are not required to give it up. You must now register the 50 caliber rifle and pay a $50 fee to keep that rifle. The third law is what we call nuisance lawsuits, and these are being made available to the Attorney General of New Jersey. So anybody in the firearms chain or the firearms industry, including manufacturers, sellers, distributors, that do not follow the practices and procedures set forth by New Jersey can be sued in what's called a nuisance lawsuit by the Attorney General. And that lawsuit will seek to hold them liable for any damages caused by these what are called nuisances. They're primarily directed at things such as straw man purchases, firearms theft, firearms trafficking, and things like that. More details will obviously come forward as some of these lawsuits are filed. So number 4 is a requirement that non-residents moving into New Jersey register their firearms. In the past, if you lawfully owned a firearm in another state, brought it to New Jersey, there was no registration requirement. However, now under this new law, if you move to New Jersey, you'll be required to register that firearm when you move in. The next law is what we call a crackdown on supposed ghost guns. Now, ghost guns, which are non-serialized firearms, are already illegal in the state of New Jersey. What this law does is increase the level of crime, the degree of crime of a violation of these statutes. So it now goes from the 3rd degree to a 2nd degree crime. So remember in New Jersey, they don't call them felonies and misdemeanors, it's a degree of crime. So this merely makes it a higher degree of crime if someone is caught with a non-serialized firearm. The next law is a requirement for the registration and recording of ammunition purchases. So folks who live in New Jersey who bought a gun, they're very familiar with the registration and recording requirements when you buy a gun. Now, when you buy ammo, it's going to be fairly similar. The statute requires the seller to record basically the who, how, what, when, where of that ammunition transaction. Who sold it, who it went to, how much, type of ammo, things like that. In addition, if you buy more than 2,000 rounds of ammo at any given time in a single purchase, they are required to notify the state police immediately of that purchase. So the final law is on a topic we call microstamping. So what is microstamping? It is a technology that right now is very, very much in question. But supposedly this technology will allow that when a gun is fired, each firearm will leave a tiny, distinguishable imprint on the cartridge at the time the gun is fired. And then supposedly that little imprint can be used to trace back the shell casings at the scene of a crime to the person who fired the gun, thereby committing the crime. So right now, what does the law require? Right now, the law requires the state to investigate whether or not this technology even works. Then if the state determines that, it has to determine whether or not these guns are even commercially available. But assuming those 2 determinations are made, what happens then? Every gun seller, gun store, will be required to make available 1 microstamping firearm for sale. They're not required to sell it, you're not required to buy it, but they must prominently display a microstamping firearm in their store at all times. Some of these laws are still up in the air, as you know, with the training requirements and how the ammunition is going to be recorded. So please look for future details as these come out, and we'll be happy to update you guys. Thanks for joining us. For more information, please go to uslawshield.com.